While in India, a young newlywed couple was attacked. They were beaten and kidnapped. The husband was thrown out of a moving car and left for dead on the side of the road. The kidnappers, however, made away with the wife and her body was found a day later. A love story that spanned 2 continents ending in a tragic way. So, what really happened? Was this just a tragic roadside robbery or something far more sinister? Countless people lose their lives each year in the guise of upholding family honor, which feeds the cycle of injustice and violence. Victims, frequently young women and men, endure unspeakable tragedies when they select their own partners, follow their goals, or defy social expectations. Jassi Sidhu was a vibrant young woman who dared to defy societal norms and follow her heart. But her pursuit of love ultimately led to her devastating and untimely end. Jaswinder Kaur Sidhu, known as Jassi Sidhu, was born on August 4, 1975, in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, Canada, into a wealthy Indo-Canadian family. Like most Indian households, her family was tight-knit and strict. Not being in India didn't prevent them from instilling conservative values in her. When her father was diagnosed with schizophrenia, power changed hands. The eldest male in the family, being her uncle, Surjit Singh Badesha, her mother's brother, was now in charge. So Jassi grew up with lots of cousins and other extended family members. Growing up in such a household meant she had more people looking out for her and even controlling her. She, along with other female cousins, couldn't take decisions by themselves, as decisions were made for them irregardless of what they wanted. As Jassi grew into a teenager, her life mainly revolved around school and housework. She wasn't allowed to hang out with friends, or even go to the mall with friends. Any place she went, she had to go with a family member, preferably a male cousin. So she was sheltered and conservative. Although loving the Indian culture as she would always dress to portray that part of her, she began to feel trapped. She wanted more for herself, wanted to experience more. One thing she wanted to pursue was becoming a beautician, and perhaps the first argument she ever won against her uncle, her mom and male cousins was to get enrolled in a school of aesthetic. So now her routine involved attending this school, which made her truly happy. In 1994, the family decided to spend December in the city of Jagraon, in the Punjab state of India. While there, she met a man by name Sukhwinder Singh Sidhu, fondly called Mithu, a rickshaw driver. The two soon fell in love and spent stolen moments together. Before they knew it, it was time for Jassi to return back to Canada. But, just because her vacation ended, didn't mean her love for Mithu ended. The two decided on carrying on with their secret relationship even though they were in different parts of the world. Jassi had never had such a connection with anybody, and she wasn't willing to give up the relationship. And so, they were in a long-distance relationship for the next 4 years. In 1999, Jassi's family started talking about her getting married. She knew in her heart she didn't want anybody other than Mithu, and so, she convinced her mom and uncle that she wanted a man from her mother's village. In March of 1999, Jassi and her family returned to India once more, this time, to get her a husband. But, Jassi had other plans, and she was able to convince her family that she was going to spend time with a female friend there in town. On March 15, 1999, Jassi and Mithu found a sheikh who was willing to marry them, and they got married. Their honeymoon lasted for a night, and she returned home like nothing ever happened. When she returned to Canada, the couple kept in touch, with Jassi even sending him money a few times. She also hired an immigration lawyer to begin the immigration process for Mithu to join her in Canada. Her family found out about the marriage a year later when someone from the village called to report it, and they were absolutely furious. Her mom hit her a few times and she was confined to her house, and not allowed to go anywhere at all. It wasn't just her mom who was angry, but her uncle also felt rage at what she had done. They were of the opinion that Jassi had betrayed the family by getting married to someone of a lower caste, and to make matters worse, she had done it in secret, bringing dishonor to the family name. To them, Mithu was only using her to come to Canada, and when nothing they did convinced her to divorce Mithu, they decided to take matters into their own hands. Her uncle flew to India and reported the case to the local police, claiming Mithu had kidnapped Jassi and had forced her to sign the wedding certificate. Mithu was soon arrested in India on these false claims. When Jassi heard about his arrest, she quickly contacted the authorities to set things straight. Jassi was able to escape from family confinement with the help of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who escorted her from the residence. Not wanting to stay in Canada and away from her husband any longer, she obtained money from a friend to buy a plane ticket, and flew to India on May 12, 2000, to reunite with Mithu. Finally, the two were together and Jassi was really happy. But unfortunately, the happiness they felt didn't last long. On June 8, Jassi and Mithu were kidnapped by some men. Mithu was violently beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. Jassi, on the other hand, was taken away. A day later, on June 9, 2000, her body was found dumped in an irrigation canal. Her throat had been slit. The Indian police immediately began an investigation, and Mithu was their first suspect, but he was soon cleared. Their investigations led them to the perpetrators. But what they found next was nothing they expected. The killers had been in contact with her mother and uncle by phone, and records of a total of 266 phone calls between the hitmen and her family were discovered. It was finally determined that the order to kill Jassi was given by her mother. Her own mother, angry at her for dishonoring the family, made the decision to kill her. The local hitmen were arrested, tried and convicted, and efforts were made to extradite Jassi's uncle Surjit Badesha and her mother, Makiet Kaur Sidhu, to India. The extradition process was delayed due to Canadian laws. While waiting for the process to be completed, Mithu found himself in a fix. He was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in August of 2004 and was incarcerated for 4 years, until he was acquitted. The woman who made the false accusation was found to have connections to Jassi Sidhu's family. So even after Jassi's death, her family still tried to make Mithu's life a living hell, all because he loved their daughter. After a decade-long investigation, Jassi's mother and uncle were arrested by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on January 6, 2012, 11 years after Jassi's murder. On May 9, 2014, following court proceedings, an order was given for both individuals to be turned over to Indian police to face trial. On January 24, 2019, they were both extradited and arrived in Delhi, India, to face the charges. On January 19, 2020, Jassi's mother was granted bail by a high court in India. Her uncle, on the other hand, remained in custody until 2022, before being granted bail. Unfortunately, this whole process has lasted too long that I fear they may eventually walk free, and never pay for their crimes. All Jassi Sidhu wanted was to make her own decisions, fall in love with who she wanted, and spend her life living on her own terms. Unfortunately, she only got to get a taste of the freedom she wanted, before being taken from this world on the orders of her own family. Her husband, Mithu, continues to fight for justice. May her soul continue to rest in peace.